Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Overwatch Open. I'm Ask Joshi casting again with Jorisar, and we are right in the middle of a great series between ANOX and Rogue.
It's true, and not too much to read, perhaps, into the first map. We saw Temple of Anubis for the first time in approximately forever, give or take a couple of days, and very, very close series, sort of down to the wire, last 20 seconds, but Rogue just about managing to squeeze it out. And I guess one thing you don't often see in Overwatch is maybe playing for two results. It's quite interesting once we reach that situation where we knew ANOX couldn't win without going to the best of three King of the Hill, so they had to play to draw to get there, otherwise Rogue would win.
Yeah.
I wonder how that changes a player's mindset. Frankly, playing an FPS like this, and playing Overwatch in particular, it's not really all the time you actually get to feel like that.
That's true. Playing for a draw is, kind of a foreign concept. It's just the rule set that we're working with today. So as always, just don't die is what the players are thinking.
I hear that's useful. Yeah.
Don't die as hard as you can. Just don't die. So we are actually going to go to Ilios for map number 2. It is a King of the Hill map, and it's going to play out a bit differently, as you said. We're not really sure how the Anubis game is going to translate into the King of the Hill maps, just because Anubis is such a kind of a wild card.
If we did get
situation.
Hanamura for map 3, would that win the competition for weirdest 3 maps in a best of 3?
I think the weirdest 3 maps in the best of 3 would be Volskaya, Hanamura, Anubis.
Yeah, maybe.
That would,
I should
that
have
would
those
definitely
3
be
in
the
that order
weirdest.
for sure.
I would never bet for that to happen in any kind of esports history. But it could happen.
It could happen. You never know. And well, I guess the choices seem to be changing day by day here, because we did just see Temple of Anubis, and we are about to go into Ilios. So as far as that combination is concerned, this is almost uncharted territory.
Yeah, I actually can't remember the last time I had no payloads in a best of 3. That's crazy to me that there's no Kings Road, Numbani, Hollywood. I haven't even cast a game on Hollywood yet. Where's Hollywood?
Yeah, I've seen 2 King of the Hills in a best of 3, but it ends 2-0, and there was a payload in there. So,
yeah,
but yeah, you're right. A payload isn't even in there, so it's very, very interesting. ANOX, but I would say one of the teams that can shine really, really strongly on this kind of map, because basically, Cypher's aiming to make it the Cypher show. And actually, one here we haven't necessarily talked about quite as much. Kenzie has been coming up with some pretty nice clutch plays from McCree. So we're looking again to the DPS players. ANOX extremely aggressive. ANOX looking to distract as many people as possible so that those players can get in and rack up those kills.
Yeah, McCree's a very linear character. He wants to walk in straight lines and shoot in straight lines, so payload is definitely where you see him shine. Anubis is a little trickier. King of the Hill, actually, you see McCree even a little bit less, as we saw double Tracer in the last match. This time we are going to see actually double McCree. And this time it looks like ANOX is going to take that first battle, start to tick up already to 6% there, and Rogue is going to have to regroup a little bit. Doesn't look like anyone made any switches after the first encounter, so at least they know what they're facing now, and they're at least comfortable enough to remain on the characters that they started with. Reinforce going in there to try to engage. You can see Wins and the rest coming in from the left side there, but AKM actually getting the kill on Cypher and an assist on Sherrick. That is going to be enough for Rogue to take the point.
Very nice. I predict this is just going to be incredibly aggressive. ANOX aren't going to be switching over and slowly coming around the side. No, they're going to go absolutely ham, full to the face, and try and take this back off Rogue. We'll see if this is possible here. Rogue actually taking a rather forward position, just looking out for exactly where they're going to be coming in. They are spotted. Cypher trying to go around the back, but I'm pretty sure Rogue know what they're up to, and Tavik ready with a flank as and when necessary. Here we go.
Yeah, the well is actually kind of a good one for once you've already got the point, because you can watch all the entrances very easily. It's not really the case on all of the points here, but Graviton Surge is available here for Sherrick if they need to use it to try and get that point back. It's 21% against 36 now for Rogue and continuing to climb, but it looks like Rogue's still managing to hang on. AKM in a little bit of danger there from just the Zarya, but as his teammates show up, everything seems to be A-okay. AKM still standing. Nox and Unko actually both fall, so the supports are down for Rogue. AKM and Tavik fall right after, and this is actually ANOX's opportunity. It looks like Cypher and ANOX combined for the bulk of those kills.
Reinforce at the moment, just trying to hold on to the point as long as possible. And you know what? Winston's ultimate does a very convenient thing of keeping him alive so long that he will be able to hold that. And Rogue now at 65% versus 20. Ultimate's up for both sides, 4 apiece at the moment, and ANOX not going to waste any time. They want to come back in and try and take this immediately.
Yeah, every point is so valuable now, especially when they're down a map. This is a single limb event and a BO3. So this is do or die for them if they want to make it back to that finals, which they did last week by beating Rogue.
Yep.
Specifically.
Exactly.
So Rogue, obviously they've had a week to kind of lick their wounds and watch the VODs. So I think, we're not 100% sure if they change anything up or if they're playing to the weaknesses of ANOX, but it seems to be going well so far. Anubis, just the map pool alone could be an indicator that they don't want to play ANOX on these payload maps or something like that. So every decision definitely should be made to try and capitalize on your enemy.
And Tavik there, interestingly, basically got interrupted through die, but interrupted, and then he continued to live and killed 2 people. So I guess that worked out for him just fine. And Rogue are going to be able to take 1 point, of course, in a best-of-5 King of the Hill here on Ilios. Now, if they are able to win 3 of these, then they will go ahead as the map winner and take the series 2-0 against ANOX. And that would be sweet revenge for last week, where ANOX were able to defeat Rogue, I believe, by the same scoreline and advance through eventually to the finals. Yeah,
and it's also interesting just to note that there are points being awarded for all the teams that don't instantly qualify through just winning the single elim bracket. Points are at stake, and ANOX are the top dogs right now because they did make it to the finals, though they lost to Misfits. Misfits got the auto invite. ANOX has the most points, so if Rogue does knock off ANOX here, there's really, it's still an open field. EU has a lot of very talented teams.
Yes.
But if you beat the guys who got second last time, it has to feel pretty good.
Exactly right, and it doesn't matter necessarily how good you are in one particular week, as Rogue actually getting the first 3 kills here, starting very, very strongly on the Lighthouse.
Great tracking there.
Absolutely amazing, and Sharek going down there as well. It matters how consistent you are over the course of all 4 weeks to get one of those spots available. So we'll see how well these teams are able to do. At the moment, though, I have to say, it's almost like Rogue have woken up a little bit, and this has to be slightly concerning for ANOX, because don't forget, the last map in the map pool, still a King of the Hill.
Yeah, King of the Hill, we talked about it a little bit in the previous series. It's more of a bloodbath style. There's no linearity at all to it, so you really are never in the out of position. You're always kind of just in a position where you can try to escape from if you get in trouble. But Tavik showing us right now, Wraithwalk is a perfect example of this to try and get back toward his healers a little bit and actually stay alive long enough. He should be able to kill Sharek here as he's off on his own. Yeah, Sharek also sees all his teammates die, so probably just wanted to feed himself into the grinder, get that reset so that he can spawn with the rest of the team.
Yeah, just wait for the bubble to run out and then execute. Not enough time to quite just jump off the cliff there.
Yeah. It's faster to, just let them kill
Well, also you deny a bit of ultimate charge as well that way, but never mind. So we now have the recollapse. It's still only 40%. There's plenty of time for this to get taken. We're looking with the Deadeye at the moment. No.
He finds AKM somehow.
Very nice.
Through all that madness happening, anytime you hear High Noon now, it's like Transcendence comes out, Winston Shields come out, Zarya Bubbles come out. Like Deadeye is like everyone stop what you're doing and look at McCree.
Playtime's over. Pop all the ults. Make sure we're defending. But oh my goodness,
Tavik got all those kills without popping Death Blossom. That was actually the ANOX Reaper that popped the Death Blossom and got basically nothing out of it, while Tavik just kind of went ham.
He's celebrating. He knows it. He's moving his mouse in circles back and forth. He's very happy for that team wipe, and he's saying. Rogue are saying they want to assert their dominance on this map right now, and worryingly, if they assert their dominance in this King of the Hill format, then ANOX have got a bad time coming for them on Nepal. So
they won't even have a chance on Nepal. They'll be gone.
Oh, sorry. Yes, of course.
if they show their dominance, they're done.
They need to find a way to come back now, and frankly. How do you actually switch it back up from here?
Like character compositions always come to mind as the first thing. If someone is shutting you down super hard, you switch to the hardest counter you can find and try to coordinate with that person. But it looks like it's actually just an even spread across the board. Tavik and AKM are getting just pouring out damage. Wins and Reinforce doing a great job with the defense side of things, providing those bubbles as needed. And ANOX just haven't had a really good door opening until this previous fight, where now they finally have flipped the point, but it's going to be a one and done if they get wiped again.
Man, and ANOX going down so quickly at the beginning of that engagement. Discord very early on Lucio, by the way. Sharek trying to defend himself, manages to take out at least one other person, which is kind of useful at the end of that engagement, so he will be able to hold on. ANOX now with 3 ultimates available, only Unko with Transcendence on the side of Rogue, so we're going to be playing a little bit of that waiting game on the who's going to pop their Transcendence last. And that's obviously going to be in favor of whoever holds the point, because the longer you're actually holding that, the closer it gets to overtime. So at the moment, that favors ANOX.
And just like that, we're already at 50% for ANOX, so that's a really nice build-up for them. They've got a Graviton Surge now catching at least a couple of members. Wins, Nox, and Reinforce all down. AKM falls shortly after, and there are a couple of ults still available for Rogue. They are going to get another opportunity. There's still enough time. 60% now for ANOX, but again, Rogue, if they happen to get one wipe and flip that point back to their favor, it's essentially over at 94%. Maybe they can stretch it into overtime, depending on how the kills go, but it could be anyone's round still.
This is really exciting. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I do want to see Nepal. This is really cool. There are 4 ultimates available for Rogue, though. If they're going to be able to flip, they're going to try and use the power of these to flip once, because don't forget, they're on 94%. They only have to hold the point for literally seconds to try and stop ANOX from coming in, but oh, man.
Losing Cypher like that is actually huge. That was a huge source of damage. Both Winstons are actually raging out now, trying to knock each other off the map, and eventually it is going to be Rogue flipping the point, and I think that's going to be it for this round. Again, I thought maybe they could stretch it to overtime, but the Tracer does not have a clear route. Not going to happen. Yeah,
Kenzie swapping over to Tracer at the last second there. I think what you said, very, very crucial. Taking out the 2 damage dealers, Cypher and Kenzie, really early on in that final engagement meant that as soon as the point was flipped, there were a maximum number of players still available, still alive, and you can just stall out for, what, they basically flipped it 7 or 8 seconds, and that was done.
Yep, that last percentage goes so fast, it might as well be anything over 90% essentially is just like if we can get it. If we can get one wipe, we'll win this round. But we are here now on the Ruins. This is a very wide open point, so sometimes you do see a couple of different characters switch in, but it looks like both teams still sticking to what they know. AKM and Tavik staying with that McCree and Reaper, and Cypher are going to be staying on that Genji, so only a couple minor differences between the two teams. Zarya and Winston in play for both, of course, and Lucio Zen in play for both, just because those ultimates do so well on small areas.
ANOX now, they have all the points to prove. They need to win 3 in a row to try and win this map off of Rogue. Rogue, in the meantime, just need to win this single control point to take home all the marbles and finish the 2-0 victory. Which way is this going to go? How will this story unfold? ANOX, wow!
Oh, it was a combo flashbang into Reaper shotguns,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah. Reaper came in very early, doing a lot of damage here to Vic, actually allowing us to get the team wipe onto ANOX. So a Rogue at the moment saying, we don't want this to be close. We want to assert complete dominance here and make a point. You beat us last week. We're here. We've got our revenge, and we're going all the way.
Yeah, Rogue definitely have to feel bad about losing to ANOX. I think even last week I would have probably favored Rogue just on paper, but ANOX have actually been winning a lot as well. This is definitely, there's a reason they made it to the finals last week and are still here in the round of 8 this time. They've got a lot of boot camping actually experience that they got in the last couple of weeks, so they were actually able to play together a little bit.
It doesn't feel like they're necessarily collapsing at the same time as well, because ANOX and Sharik, I mean, they're the 2 tanks, but they seem to be disjointed from the rest of the team at the points they go down. ANOX haven't been fighting as a unit on this point as much as they have on the previous couple, and it's I feel like Rogue's advantage here looks bigger than it is, if that makes sense. ANOX just need to sort of take a breather, get the team together, work out how they're going to be coming in, because they will be able to collapse onto the point with a little bit more, I guess, element of surprise, because ultimately it is sunken into the ground. So you have to be a little careful when holding it.
It's going to be tough to surprise them. Really, I think all that needs to happen is Cypher needs to kill that AKM McCree, because if he can do it while the rest of the team can't support him, actually it doesn't even happen. He pulls the Dragon Blade out and AKM immediately kills him. AKM also gets the better of the Deadeye duel and takes out Kenzie there on ANOX. So 69% now for Rogue. Another fight going their way. It's going to be at least 10-15 seconds before ANOX kind of trickles out here. The couple of kills actually finally going the way of ANOX. AKM and Tavik are both down, so the damage dealers are out of there, but the supports and tanks have so much health and sustain, they may be able to survive. It looks like they will. Rubicon coming back now for the side of ANOX with the Transcendence available, but are they going to be able to get everyone up and in formation, so to speak, in time?
This is the last push. 93% and counting. Are ANOX going to be able to do it? Sharik coming in looking. There's only one ultimate from Cooler available at the moment after the Graviton Surge is used. That's a pretty big one.
In the middle of the air. That was so weird. It was like in the sky. Normally the Graviton Surge falls to the ground, but it worked out. Sharik actually getting a kill there near the end. Reinforce gets the kill on Kenzie, so that damage dealer is gone. Reinforce getting the kill on Zen is actually very big, though. No orbs in play now for ANOX at all. Cypher is not going to be able to benefit from a Harmony orb or anything like that. Trying to take on AKM now, or sorry, that was Tavik on that Reaper. Does actually get the better of him with the deflect and the Ninja Stars to the face there. Cooler's going to go down. It looks like Reinforce and Rogue will continue to stay on the point. That's a 3-0 here. And after the first game on Anubis, I didn't know how this was going to go, but Rogue showed us that they are definitely here to play this week.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Play the game going to Tavik on Reaper. He has been playing out of his mind, actually, on especially on the King of the Hill here. Very, very nice stuff. And, well, it's also particularly convenient when all your opponents have decided to plant themselves in one particular spot. Lovely combo, fantastic team wipe.
Great job there from a Rogue.
All right, so we are going to be, I mean, that's basically a 2-0 victory. Incredibly strong stuff there coming out from Rogue. I think the big point to take away is that last week we saw ANOX incredibly powerful, take down Reunited, take down Rogue, going very, very close to taking down Misfits as well. And Rogue have come back, and their answer has been absolutely fantastic.
Yep, they've secured their day 2 now, and we are joined once again by Machine.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Did you miss me? I hope
Of course, yeah. We're just casting Overwatch and just thinking the whole time, where's Machine?
You know,
where's this guy
That's
gone?
how it should be. That is how it should be. I mean, let's just kind of put this into perspective. You guys have already started doing it. But the fact that you go from grand finals to being knocked out in quarterfinals is telling us a whole lot about... I mean, we keep talking about consistency. And I think the discussion is whether or not that it is consistency that's at play here. ANOX falling now in the quarterfinals and convincingly to Rogue. Previously, ANOX did the same to Rogue. I mean, they won that 2-0 in the previous best of 3 this last time these two teams met. Words are hard sometimes. I think the question is do you think the game modes and maps played a heavy part in Rogue's victory here? Like that Anubis pick, that curveball.
Yeah.
This is something that Rogue have been doing a lot. I mean, they played experts Creation Esports. Creation Esports have previously leaned towards game modes like this, and they've had close games with them. Rogue have demonstrated that they have proficiency with these game modes in the past.
Yeah, Anubis, again, just going into it, I had no idea what to expect. It's just been so long since it's really been in play for any of these teams. So
what did we learn?
We learned that Junkrat is actually really nice for attacking on Anubis just to dislodge the defense, because it seems like basically everyone is going to be posted up on that higher ground in the bridge area. Junkrat specifically is able to just toss one concussive mine, and if he lands it over the shield of Reinhardt, everyone just goes flying. So definitely a great choke buster, I guess.
We were talking about this earlier as well.
Yeah.
That's a good name. No, it's perfect.
Well, when we saw a single offensive Junkrat, the concussive mines became really difficult to deal with because you were also bobbing people off the bridge. Then when we saw, I think, was it Rogue's second round, where they actually held for like quite a long time and really clawed back a lot of the time, there was Junkrat versus Junkrat, and it became a little bit of an awkward stalemate of sorts, didn't it? So that seemed to be the source of the team sort of really equalizing there and really trying to get back into the fight, and I thought that was actually quite a pivotal point. But to come back to your question about the game modes, ANOX, I feel like last week we were talking a lot about how ANOX had some great individual skill.
Cypher Show.
And then, yep, the Cypher Show. And previously we were talking a little on how their team chemistry has sort of come alive, and when it actually all fits hand in glove, they can absolutely wreck any team in the world. We saw that last week to an extent. Today, the game modes didn't exactly flatter that because we don't have those payload maps where it's absolutely crucial to get every ultimate in the correct order. There's little chance of like snowball. You just have to make sure the team fights are really well coordinated. It's really hard to judge when we start on Anubis and then go on to, you know, potentially to King of the Hills.
And as I always like to do as well, is I like to ask you guys if there's anyone in particular that you want to mention. Previously, like when we do talk about Rogue, I know, you know, when you go towards your King's Row and your various assault or payload maps, you'd mention Reinforce and his powerful tanking and Reinhardt abilities. You talked previously about his Winston, which he pulled out in this one. Was he someone to mention, or was there a name that springs to mind when I mentioned Rogue and their successes in this best of 3, Joshy?
I'll say that it looked like Tavik was driving the action, because on Anubis, their worst round was the one where Tavik got popped by Zenyatta on the way in to point B, and that actually cost them, 30 seconds or so off the clock, just because Tavik got that, early death. But then afterwards, he just drove everything. So whenever he did have his Dragon Blade available, you could count on a kill or two. And then as Reaper on the King of the Hill maps, Death Blossoms were on point. I think, honestly, the combination of AKM and Tavik was working very well with Flashbang AKM would throw out the flashbang, and Tvik would just swoop in and shotgun down whatever happened to get caught in the radius. So really good just teamwork there from the damage dealers, I think, on Rogue.
Anyone to add to that pile of success, do you think, John, or are those the kind of the big names to mention?
I think Joshy's already mentioned it, but it's worth highlighting AKM. Like getting the flashbangs over the top of the Reinhardt shield to allow Junkrat to do his work, as well as him supporting Tvik and being able to get the damage, get the lovely kills on that kill feed. He's played a fantastic supporting role in knowing when and where to chuck those stuns.
I do love that we are being treated just relentlessly to good McCrees, good Genjis. We're seeing the influence of good tanks, and I know sometimes we do get caught up in these playmaking heroes. It's easy to get blinded by that because those are the ones that make those big game-changing plays.
Well, let's not forget that in the game modes where you are trying to do a lot of damage really, really quickly, King of the Hill being a prime example of that, I feel like there are more opportunities for the support players to have like an absolutely amazing timing on one particular thing on the payload
like
match where you're
surge,
where you're actually able to do that. That's not to say that on King of the Hill it's not possible. It's just you see it more often on payload because all these fights are so coordinated and you're timing your ultimates accordingly.
And just the position on the map makes a huge difference in how you conserve your ultimates and stuff like that on a payload map. On King of the Hill, it's everyone ready? Everyone's here? All right, go. Yeah. So
drop the beat.
Yeah, it's totally a different feeling where it's just like the supports have to use their ultimates to engage, not just react.
All right, and so just one final discussion while she was on screen for a second, and she was actually on screen during Temple of Anubis as well. We haven't had an opportunity to talk about D.Va, and she did crop up in play this time. Now, she recently received, I think everyone will describe it as a buff. Her defense matrix is now very effective, and I want to know whether or not, what's your stance? We'll open the floor to discuss her a little bit at length. Do you think she's going to be seeing more and more play? Where is her place slot within the meta?
So D.Va, the first week after these changes, you mentioned it was a buff. It was actually kind of a retooling of her kit.
Okay.
So it used to be you press the defensive matrix, it lasts a set amount of time, and then while it's active, everyone on the other team just ignores D.Va.
Yep.
Now it's D.Va can get in your face and kind of toggle it. She has a meter, so you can actually play it a method where you get up in someone's face, shoot for a couple seconds, shield for a couple seconds, shoot for a couple seconds. Filling a similar role as Reinhardt now, whereas before she was competing against Winston. So now she's got a little bit more flexible play because her defensive matrix is just so powerful.
So do you consider it a buff, John? What do you think?
I think giving the player the choice to sort of toggle it on and off does make it a little bit more difficult for people to anticipate where D.Va is going to be using it, and for that reason I consider it a buff. It keeps the opponents thinking a little bit more. Where we potentially expect to see more of D.Va, it's a little bit difficult to tell because the compositions are actually changing more or less on a daily basis. I would expect... I love, personally, seeing D.Va fly up to the Streets phase on Hollywood, for example, trying to like knock people off the perch. I'm looking at the second checkpoint for Dorado, for instance, trying to get people off the first floor of the church. Beyond that, it's like... It's actually really quite versatile now because you can choose when to use it.
And that's what we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, people have just been like, it's making me very happy just to see already that there's just so much diversity. I know there is a meta and it's kept to, but last week we saw 21 out of 22 heroes played. This week we might very well see 22. Of course, Hanzo did crop up already, so maybe
I
we'll
haven't
see
seen the
22.
Ana in play yet though, and that's the
not
new
this week.
hotness.
Not this week.
I do want to also point out though that D.Va's ultimate is definitely a buff because they basically made it where she can't kill herself with her own ultimate anymore. So you play entirely different as it is, and it's shorter, so it's harder to escape. So people are doing all these trick shots, basically sliding in past Reinhardt shields, lobbing it over the top of walls. Like you're seeing a lot more D.Va kills basically as a result.
Or your teammate Roadhog hooks it in. Do you see that clip on Reddit? Oh
no.
my god, it was the most face-palming thing. Like this D.Va does this absolutely awful ultimate, and then you just see the Roadhog go for her, and of course she's tiny, pulls in the entire. It was a play of the game as well. So he's getting shouted at. And on that bombshell, it quite literally was, we will say goodbye. We're going to be bringing it into North American Overwatch. And actually, we have a treat for you. Because these series were so quick, we're actually going to jump in a little earlier to North America. So in, approximately 50 minutes, we'll be bringing you your first North American Overwatch game for the Overwatch Open. To watch it, of course, I have to highlight, we're watching this on overwatchopen.com. That's how we're watching it. And do stay in contact. Who are you looking forward to seeing? Which European game did you enjoy? Do you like the color of Joshy's shirt? Whatever it is, hashtag OWOpen. And get in contact with us. We'll be checking that out during this break. We'll be back in 50 minutes with North American Overwatch.